Mr. President, to return to a topic that you opened the press conference with on oil, U.S. crude futures today went below zero, went into negative territory.
Went negative.
Yeah.
Like interest rates, they go negative.
Does that make you want to see Saudi Arabia and Russia and OPEC Plus do more
Well,
to
it's for
reduce
short
supply?
term. Much of it has to do with short sellers. Much of it has to do, if you look a month into the future, I think it's at $25 or $28 a barrel. So a lot of people got caught. They got caught, and there are a lot of people that are not too happy because they got caught. So if you take a look at it, you'll see it's more of a financial thing than an oil situation. But because you take, I believe, in a month or so, in other words, go a little bit out, it's at $25 and $28 a barrel. So it's largely a financial squeeze, and they did get squeezed.
So would you like to see, however, Saudi Arabia and other countries make more cuts?
Well, we've already done that, where Saudi Arabia is cutting back, Russia's cutting back, Mexico's cutting back, and the OPEC plus, they call it OPEC, plus additional states are cutting back. And, you know, the problem is nobody's driving a car anywhere in the world, essentially, 184 nations. Factories are closed and businesses are closed. And so all of a sudden, we had really a lot of energy to start off with, oil in particular. We had a lot. And then all of a sudden, they lost 40, 50% of their market. So it just stopped. So it's going to be picking up, and the energy business will be strong. But they cut back. It could be 20 million barrels, but it's, let's say, 15. And that was between Russia and Saudi Arabia. But this had to do with the squeeze, and it was a very tough squeeze. A lot of people got...
You don't think they need to do more right now?
Well, they're going to do more by the market, to be honest. Look, same thing over here. If the market is the way it is, people are going to slow it down or they're going to stop. That's going to be automatic, and that's happening, yeah.
Mr. President, on criminal justice reform and these SBA loans, I got an email earlier this morning from a fella in the Northwest who owns a supply business. And he has a felony on his record, nonviolent felony, in the past 5 years, which under SBA guidelines makes him ineligible for one of these PPP loans. So he has now had to let go 50 employees, many of whom are criminals trying to get back into society. I don't believe there's anything in the CARES Act that would restrict.
If you give me the name of the company and his name, I'll have that checked out, John. I'll do that. It's a friend of yours?
No, not a friend of mine. No, it's just somebody who
Why did
contacted me out of the
He
blue.
called you to say he's a criminal, and why did he get a loan? Or
He
what's...
says he wanted to apply for an SBA loan and couldn't, and wondered how that squared
Okay,
with
if you
your...
give me the
your-
name, I'll look into it. I'd like to look into that, okay? Caitlin, go ahead.
If these companies that open and they have employees come back to work and they get sick, will these companies be liable?
Which companies are you talking about? Under
Any
what?
companies that open, manufacturing, any kind of company that opens,
So
employees go back to
we
work,
have-
they get sick, will the
I'll
company
give you
be
an
liable?
answer to that. I'll give you a legal answer to that when we look it up. But we are trying to take liability away from these companies. We just don't want that because we want the companies to open and to open strong. But I'll get you a legal opinion on that. I'll get you, well, that's what I'm saying. I'll get you a legal opinion on
You
that.
guys haven't discussed that yet?
Nobody's discussed it, no, but we will, now.
Have any business executives have voiced concern to you about being
Not
liable
one,
potentially?
not one.
They didn't say
Not
that
at
on the
this
call
point,
last week?
but we're gonna look because they have talked about general liability. So I'll get you a specific answer from the lawyers, okay? Go ahead, please.
Thanks, Mr. President. I wanted to follow on oil. When you were talking earlier, you were talking about the PPP deal and then mentioned the SPR. In the first stimulus package, even though you had announced
Well,
that
but you know the price of oil right now, don't you?
I do. Do you know the
I
price
do,
of oil?
I actually do.
It's negative
I actually do.
$37.
Of course,
Yeah.
nobody's ever heard of negative oil before, but it's for a short term.
In your opening remarks, you were talking about the PPP deal, and then you mentioned the 75 million barrels of oil that,
Yes.
that you previously had said you wanted to purchase.
Yes.
You weren't able to get funding for that in the first deal. So I'm wondering, are you...
Well, at the price you're talking about, you don't need funding. They pay you, see? You know?
if you can go get it
Because right
in the
now,
next
if you can
24
get it,
hours,
that's
yeah.
true, if you can get it.
So my first question is, are you asking for that
Well,
funding
at a
as part of
minimum,
the
we'll let
PPP
people
deal?
store, so we'll store it, we'll use it as storage, and charge for it. But people need storage desperately, and we have massive storage under the petroleum.
So you're not going to make it a requirement of the PPP interim funding deal?
It's
that's
not a
coming
question of
together?
requirement. If we could buy it for nothing, we're going to take everything we can get. The only thing I like better than that is where they pay you to take the oil. But that's a short-term squeeze, you understand that. So I don't think you're going to see that. But no, we'd like to have Congress, this is a great time to buy oil, and we'd like to have Congress approve it so that we could, instead of just storing it for the big, usually the big companies, because I think we have 75 million gallons right now capacity. That's a lot. It's, we've been building it up over a period of time, but that's a lot, 75 million barrels. So we're going to get, either ask for permission to buy it, or we'll store it. One way or the other, it will be full. Okay, please.
Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
you
yeah.
finish up. We'll go right to you.
Yeah, some senators, including Senator Kramer, have called on you to stop Saudi oil shipments that are on the way right now. Is that, you can do that under Section 232, is that something that you would consider?
Well, we'll look at it. I heard, just as I'm walking into the room, we certainly have plenty of oil. So I'll take a look at that, okay? Yeah.